Hey guys, now before I start this review, I want to introduce something that's probably going to be a running gag throughout my channel, at least until I decide to give up on it. I'm introducing the Godzilla Star Wars jar. Basically, anytime I mention Godzilla or Star Wars, because those are one of the two biggest things I talk about on this channel, if I mention those two things in a review or a video for no reason at all, and I don't have a point to me bringing up Godzilla or Star Wars, I'm going to put a quarter in this jar. So pretty much it's like a swear jar, but every time I mention Godzilla or Star Wars. So with that said, let's get on with this review for The Shape of Water. The Shape of Water was one of my most anticipated movies of the year outside of the obvious juggernaut that comes out next week. There we go. But anyway, this is the latest movie from Guillermo del Toro and takes place in 1962 Baltimore and follows Alyssa, played by Sally Hawkins. Alyssa is a mute woman who works as a cleaner in this top-secret government laboratory where they're doing experimentations on this weird creature that's very humanoid but is also a fish. So Sally Hawkins immediately falls in love with this thing. Strange, but we'll go with it. And the two of them form a bond, and then Alyssa has to try to get the creature out. Now, when it comes to Guillermo del Toro, one of the things that he is best known for is his visual style. Even if some of his movies might be a little crappy, like Crimson Peak, you know the visual look is going to be jaw-droppingly amazing. And The Shape of Water has the best production design I've seen this year. The look of this movie is incredible. It has this fantastical look of the 1960s. The entire government facility has this teal look to it to give you that feeling like you're in water, or just, it makes you think of water throughout the whole movie, outside of the fact that the title is The Shape of Water. It very much reminds me of BioShock in terms of the look, and it's just so beautiful. This really is a movie that if it doesn't win the Oscar for Best Production Design, then that's a true crime right there. Just like if Blade Runner 2049 does not win the Oscar for cinematography, because the production design here is that good. Now, of course, the visuals are amazing, but with something like Crimson Peak, the visuals don't mean anything if the rest of the movie isn't good, and the rest of the movie is phenomenal here. This is pretty much a love story. It's a unique, more adult retelling of Beauty and the Beast, much better than that live-action Disney movie that we got back in March, because this one is somewhat original, it's very creative, and it just makes a little more sense. Pretty much it's Beauty and the Beast minus Stockholm Syndrome, because rather than the Beast capturing the Beauty and holding a prisoner until they eventually fall in love, Beauty comes across the Beast. Both of them are very different from other people, and they start to form a connection with each other. Even though at first glance it is weird that this woman would fall in love with this weird amphibious fish man that, again, looks like the Gila monster from Creature from the Black Lagoon, it's a very believable romance. You buy into it. You see the two of them spending time together, even though Alyssa's not supposed to be in that room. You just want to see these two get together. And the performances from both these actors, Sally Hawkins and Doug Jones, is incredible. Doug Jones is the actor who plays the amphibious man, as he's referred to in the credits. And if you don't know who Doug Jones is, he's done a lot of collaborations with Guillermo del Toro. He was the Fawn in Pan's Labyrinth. He was Ape Sapien in the Hellboy movies. And in one of the movies he's done that's not directed by Guillermo del Toro, he was the Bye-Bye Man in the Bye-Bye Man. I'm sorry, I know it's been a full year, but I still can't smirk and laugh without saying that name. You can't say that name with a straight face. But anyway, Doug Jones, as I mentioned, plays the amphibious man, and he's really good with just having to work with body movement and just playing this weird, monstrous creature. And when I first saw the movie, I thought, wow, this movie cost $19 million, and the CG on the amphibious man looks incredible. It's like top notch. But as the movie went on, and I saw more of the amphibious man, I realized, wait a minute, that's not CG. That's a guy in a suit. That's a real suit, that's a real effect in front of the camera that the actors are working off of, and it just makes it even more outstanding that there's hardly any CG, if any, on this creature. I mean, the eyes are probably CG when they blink, but overall, this is an incredible looking effect. It's little moments like these in movies that makes me wish that the industry would not rely on CG as much. If you can do it practically, do it practically. If there's no other way around it, then just go to CG. So Doug Jones is great with just physical body movement, but the one actress that steals the whole movie is Sally Hawkins. This is probably the best performance of Sally Hawkins' career, because one, she has to play a mute, which is incredibly difficult to play a character that doesn't speak any dialogue, but she manages to do it flawlessly. You get a sense of everything that she's thinking, everything that she's going through. You laugh with her, you cry with her. She's just a very charming, likable, and often sympathetic character. You really feel for her as the events of the movie go along. And just like with the production design, if she does not win the Oscar for Best Actress, then that's going to be a crime. I know I praised Jennifer Lawrence in Mother as much as I don't like that movie, but Jennifer Lawrence's performance in that movie was more or less screaming and just being really intense. She's good at it, but after a while it did get a little tiresome. Sally Hawkins here is absolutely phenomenal. Less is often more, and Sally Hawkins is able to convey so much without saying a word. There are several other actors throughout the movie, like Richard Jenkins, Octavia Spencer, and Michael Shannon. All of them are really good. Richard Jenkins plays an older guy who pretty much has nobody in his life except for Alyssa, and you feel sympathy for this guy as well. He has his own little subplots going on where they don't really interfere with the main core of the story. And the dynamic that he has with Sally Hawkins and even Doug Jones is really good as well. Octavia Spencer, I was annoyed at first because she's typecast as the sassy black woman janitor type. Since she's that great of an actress already, she could just do better roles. But after a while, it didn't really bother me because she still does a really good job with the part that she's given. The most cartoonish of all the actors is probably Michael Shannon, because it's like so obvious that he's the villain, and he's pretty much somebody who you'd see on Mad Men. He's one of those characters who's just so manly. He's racist, he's sexist, he's pretty much hands down a villain. But I would be lying to myself if I said he wasn't effective throughout the movie, because there are a few points in this film where he's really intense and you kind of get scared. Like, just because Michael Shannon is that great of an actor, and he is very menacing in the role. The last big positive I want to mention is the score by Alexandre Desplat. This is a composer who really manages to create a different style when it comes to making smaller films. If you've listened to his scores for like the big blockbuster kind of movies like The Deathly Hallows or The American Godzilla, then they feel a little standard. They're not bad scores, but they feel very much like regular scores. But whenever he has to do indie work like Grand Budapest Hotel and now Shape of Water, his creativity really comes out, and his score here is one of the best scores of the year. It's just so beautiful, it's fantastical, it feels like a score that came from the 1950s, and it's just so beautiful. It's a fantastic score, like I've said. And yes, I did mention the American Godzilla, but that's not going to count for the Godzilla Star Wars swear jar, because I had a reason for mentioning Godzilla, because both that movie and Shape of Water were done by the same composer. So moving on. Now, are there any negatives I have about the movie? Because I've been praising this nonstop. I absolutely love it, but I did have few issues here and there. And there's mainly one issue that I had, but it's not enough to ruin the movie for me, and that's the actor that played the main scientist. I didn't think he was that good. I thought the actor was just a little bland and not really all into the role. And then there are a few little small scenes that last for maybe 30 seconds that convey a little portion of what the characters are going through. I won't say what they are, but they involve Sally Hawkins' character and Richard Jenkins' character. And for those, I'll say, I get why Guillermo del Toro did those moments, but I feel like they could have been executed in a much better way. But overall, The Shape of Water is a masterpiece. This is one of my top 3 movies of this year, and further proof that 2017 has been an incredible year for movies. The visual style is amazing, the score is beautiful, it's a very believable love story, even if it's between a human and a fish man, and it's just all around an amazing film. I saw Pan's Labyrinth for the first time a few days ago and loved it. I love this even more. This is my favorite Guillermo del Toro film, and it's one that you need to get off your ass and see right now. It's that good of a movie. This is the movie that got the most nominations for the LA Online Film Critics Society, and rightfully so, because it's that good. Really, I can't wait to see this again. I love it that much. And that's my review for The Shape of Water. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on the movie, if and when you've seen it. And as always, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.